Jace, you want to sit on my lap?
Yeah.
You
sit on my lap?
Yeah.
Pretty much on.
Hi everyone, I'm so sorry. I really hope this link works. Before it said that I got reported for some reason and then the link wasn't working. I think I have it all figured out now. So now I just have to post a new link. Again, I'm so sorry. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brianna Warden, and I am the Children's Tumor Foundation 2020 National Ambassador, which it's been a great year. It's also been a very hectic year, so I'll get into that, but I just want to wait for more views right now. All right, let's see if I can text Aiden.
What? Don't do it. Yeah, I do too. You're gonna make a boy. You've always wanted to be in it.
All right, we have someone watching. I don't know if it's one of you, but so again, my name is Brianna Warden. I'm the 2020 National Ambassador. I do want to wait for more people to hop on in. I had to put another link. Aiden's here. Say hi.
I'm Jake.
You got it now.
This is my brother Jace.
This is my brother Milo.
Milo's our
This is
dog.
my girl Sophia. That I love her because I love her so much. Because he's yellow, he's
She
gold.
has a golden retriever.
We have a golden retriever
Yeah.
named
Let
Sophia.
me talk now.
Okay.
Okay, I love her so much. Ever.
So this is my mom.
Hi, I'm Jenna.
This is my stepfather.
Hi, I'm Dan.
So they're definitely going to talk throughout this video. We're here to answer your questions. I do want to talk and tell you some stuff. First, again, I'm so sorry the links got all messed up. I'm not sure what happened. I hope more people can hop on and join us. And again, I'm so sorry. It's been a crazy year, but that's okay. So I've been involved with the Children's Tumor Foundation, Jace, since I was 8 years old. So I've been a part of many symposiums where I was able to do public speaking, which is something I am very passionate about. But before I really dive into everything I've done, I'm going to have my stepdad talk a little bit. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So my stepfather is a correction officer, and obviously with the coronavirus, this has brought a great deal of stress upon many, especially families with those who have chronic illnesses. So do you want to say what that's been like for you with having me with a chronic illness?
Yeah, it's been a little challenging with the coronavirus going on. Most of the time I have to stay home and watch the little guy right over there while your mom and you go to Boston, and because there's only one parent allowed at a time. It's frustrating knowing I can't be there, since in the past I go there for you for most of the time with the surgeries and counseling and all that. So we've adapted. About 99% of the time I get the day off and I can help out. I have a great squad partner, a great group of guys at the jail for me to get off, and for you guys to do your thing in Boston. So
Yeah, it's definitely been weird. Before I ask you the question, Mom, going into the hospital before, for those of you who don't know, because I am on a MEK inhibitor, I should say that, and I'll go into more details with that later. But so for this, I have to go to the hospital once a month, and then every 3 months I have scans. But because of the issue that's been going on where we can't go into hospitals or into public as frequently, I do virtual visits once a month, and then every 3 months I do go in for MRIs. And it's weird because I don't have my stepfather with me. My mom is able to go. I'm allowed to have one parent, but also I don't have my baby brother with me, who is like my little sidekick when I go to the hospital. He's my best bud. Even the nurses there, they say, "Oh, your sidekick can't join you," and part of the tests I have to do when I get checked for my range of motion with my arm is a peg test. So basically, I pick up these little pegs and I have to put them into the holes of this little board. And the first time I ever did it, I wish I could find a video. I think I have it somewhere. Jace was cheering me on, and it was just. It helped me a lot to keep wanting to push and know that, oh, I can do this. And then the second time I had to do the test was during the issue that's going on. I didn't have my little cheerleader, and it just wasn't as exciting for me. It was just like, oh, here I am back in the hospital, but just I hope that it gets better soon so my family can go. But yeah, so I want to ask you, Mom, how has this pandemic been affecting you as a nurse and having
So both Dan and I are essential workers. Dan being a CEO for the state of New York, and I am a public health home visiting nurse. So of course, initially our biggest fear was with Bree being on a MEK inhibitor that we're out there and we could possibly bring COVID home. And so we had some pretty severe rituals of coming home and making sure that we changed in the basement and showered before we touched anyone. It wasn't even a hello. We just came in and did what we had to do to get cleaned up to make sure that we wouldn't bring it home to Brianna. So it's been stressful because we've had to work all along and then continue to make sure that, everybody here is safe at home.
Yeah.
For sure, it's very different going to the hospitals. Your Brianna's visits aren't just go into one hospital, Dana-Farber, and we're done. She has her tests at the Children's Hospital. Then we go into the Jimmy Fund. She has other tests that she has to go to Brigham and Women's for, the vision tests. So it's 3 different hospitals essentially we're going to. In each hospital, you have to be screened and screened again. So, we could park in one facility before and then just kind of make our way through and go back to the parking garage. It's a lot more stressful. It's a lot more time consuming. So especially, on days where Brianna's pretty weak from the chemo and tired, it's a lot of extra walking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's made, things a little bit more challenging. But I also think that it's brought us all closer together because we've really realized what's important and, how to really work together as a family to make sure that Bree's needs are met and little man inside the school. So, that's really it.
Yes. Again, Connie is posting the Tiltify link. My mom is also, she has it up so we can keep track of the donations. So we're really trying to, make life better for everyone in a sense. And I want to talk about bullying and things like that, but we really want to raise awareness for the Children's Tumor Foundation, for the 2.5 million people that are impacted by this disorder like myself. I again want to apologize that the links got all mixed up. I'm not sure what happened. YouTube didn't like something, I guess, that was playing in the background. We didn't have music in the background, but apparently I did, so I had to restart. So again, I'm very, very sorry about that. So if you have any questions, you can also comment a question, and I will gladly answer it for you, whether it's for me, my mom, my stepdad, or even my little brother in his room. But I'm just really excited to be here. I've never done a live video on YouTube before. I've done them on Facebook and Instagram, but yes, I agree. Aiden was saying that YouTube doesn't like anything unless you're very, very big, which is very, very true. Because I was very confused when it said I played music. I was like, there's no music. But so for me, let's get up to date. So the last time I did an up to date video, I think I was in the middle of being in school for Boston University, or I had just graduated, actually. I had just graduated, and I decided to take a year off after I graduated just to, figure out things, my health, things like that. I don't know what Dave's making your face behind me. What did I do?
I forgot I was live. I'm not like this.
And Milo's sitting on a stool.
Milo is here, and he's never liked this with me.
So,
He's on a stool right now.
So I took a year off, and at that point, I was having issues with my arm. The tumors were just rapidly growing, and I was getting these sores on my arm. I couldn't wear long sleeve shirts. That was very, very difficult. It was really impacting my mental health, and everyone knows me as a very, very positive person, and I would always still try to be positive, but it was hard knowing I have to go buy a new shirt again because my long sleeve shirt doesn't fit, and it was around winter time, so I was cold. I wanted to wear long sleeve shirts and I couldn't. And because the tumors were growing so much at that point, I actually met with my team and we talked about the possible issue of me having to have my arm amputated because the tumors were just growing so much. My bone couldn't take the tumors. And then we also said, well, there's an option for us to take the MEK inhibitor. It's one of the clinical trials going on. And I thought about it for a day, and then I was like, you know what? I should do this. Just because this other medicine didn't work for me before doesn't mean this new medication can. Because again, we have to remember that medicines impact everybody differently. Everyone's body is different. No one is the same. So I decided to do it, and I'm glad I did because as of now, my tumors have shrunk over 23%. I have an appointment in about 4 days to, again, this is not a scan one. This is just a monthly one, so it's a check-in. But I have more mobility. My range of motion is so much better. I can show you guys. So you can see here from the last time you saw me, this, I know it looks very skinny, but that's because the tumor did eat a lot of my muscle tissue. But this is mostly skin right here, whereas before this was big, bulky tumors that were dislocating my elbow and causing my skin to break open. And now I can lift a textbook without being as scared as I was before. So that's really important to me. And I know that's silly, like a textbook, but my elbow would dislocate if I picked up a tissue before. And I am also now studying at NYU for counseling and guidance. I'm at my midterm week, so I've been pretty hectic with studying, and I did decide to strictly do the online route. So for me, I didn't go to school, and then school then became online. It's just always been online. Just because of the issues that are going on now, I wanted to just play it safe, and I'm really enjoying it because at NYU, we're able to talk about advocacy. And I've been talking a lot about the Children's Tumor Foundation and the need to help children with chronic issues in school because sometimes we forget that students with chronic needs have to go to the hospital a lot, but then that means that they're going to have frequent absences in school. And in order to graduate school and to succeed in school, you need to physically be in school. And when I had cancer, I wasn't able to be in school. So I really struggled. So I wrote an advocacy letter to where I can actually send it to my legislator. I have not yet, but talking about the needs where we need more resources for students with chronic needs so they don't feel stressed due to their lack of academic resources, if that makes sense, because dealing with chronic illnesses is already hard, but having that added stressors of school was even harder. I don't know if you want to add mine.
I do, because I think that, like we said, there's been some positivity that's come out of COVID. And one of those things is that everyone is now doing this online learning. And, how many years ago, gosh, Brianna, 9 going on 10 years ago when you first started, really dealing with cancers and spending a lot of time in the hospital, I had contacted her superintendent in her high school saying, hey, can we Skype into the classroom? We had the capability then. But the answer was no because of privacy issues for other students. So she couldn't be in a virtual classroom at that time. She was missing out a ton in regard to what the actual lessons were. We were trying to figure things out while she was sick at the same time. So now I feel that, while we're using this platform so frequently, that really benefits kids with chronic illness. Now there's kind of no excuse in my book. And that goes along too with the medical visit. So whereas we were having to travel so many times, so frequently, now that's cut back again because of COVID. But it's taught everyone sort of hey, we can do these virtual visits, and it's an easier way to access treatment. It's an easier way to access education.
All right, and we have a question. That was very good. I'm going to answer that question in a second. One thing I do want to add is something I actually learned too, and you're going to find this very interesting, Mom, in my foundations class is, although because of COVID, you're allowed to do virtual learning. I found out recently, and this is the issue that I really want to advocate for, is even when COVID goes away, they can stop virtual learning because it's still against people's rights to do recorded videos for at-home learning. So that means for people, like if I was in high school and COVID stopped and it went away for hopefully, they won't have access to that recorded online learning anymore. And that, it breaks my heart a little bit because my chronic illness doesn't stop, so why should my education? And that's really what I want to advocate for, is the need to continue to connect school and children with special needs, because the IDA and 504 plans and things like that, IEPs, every student deserves the right to education. But what about children with chronic health needs? It's not just about learning disabilities, because yes, I have a learning disability, but I also have chronic health issues. So I want to answer this question. It's, what do you wish future physicians knew about NF that they are not going to learn from just reading about NF? Any experiences that can be teaching tools. This is great. So I actually got to talk about this when I spoke at the FDA. And I said that we have to look at the whole picture, because yes, I'm on a clinical trial, but I'm not just a number in a textbook. They need to, I feel like, again, look at that whole picture, because with neurofibromatosis, no two cases are the same. So when you're looking at me, you can't tell that my entire left side is covered in tumors besides my left leg. And that means that different things I struggle with. So I have a processing disorder, so my eyes don't work at the same time as my brain. So sometimes when I read, it looks like numbers are just all over the page or dancing all over the page. So it's really just important to sit down and talk to your patient, because that doctor's only going to be with you for, I want to say 20 minutes, because sometimes it feels like you talk to the nurses longer, but I'll give them an hour. It'll be nice. So that doctor's only seeing you for an hour, but you know your body and your family knows your body. My stepfather have been with me almost my whole life. So when they're saying something is wrong, and when you feel something is wrong, advocate for yourself, stand up for yourself, which I know is very scary to do, because I also get a little nervous doing that as well. But again, you know your body, and if physicians, that's the only way they'll be able to learn about it, is just you talking about it and standing your ground. Because again, I even read case studies for my psychology classes, but you can read any case study ever. But if I go into a counseling session, I'm not going to know what to expect, because again, no two people are the same. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, so I think that question maybe ended with something about med students. I can
Yeah,
barely see that far away. So I don't teach med students, but I do teach nursing students. And one of the things that I always encourage my nursing students, and I think med students should do the same, is to listen, to not speak so much, and to really listen, ask open-ended questions. So much can be learned from a person by, saying, so tell me about what's going on in your life. So we can learn, hey, is she having pain from what's been going on in her life? Has she decreased her activities? Has she increased her activities? Are things getting better? So it's really important to listen to parents and to the patients themselves. I do want to chime in and say thank you, because we're up to $150 in
Thank
donations.
you.
So keep
Thank you.
donating, please. This is going directly to the Children's Tumor Foundation for that all-important research. Dad, do you have anything you want to chime in with?
You're your own best patient. You know your own body. Just tell the doctors everything that's going on.
Definitely.
I think again,
Yeah.
it goes back to the listening
your own best
skills,
patient.
and don't be afraid
Yeah.
to question things too. I say this all the time as doctors and nurses. We're human.
Yeah.
So
Everyone
we can
makes
make
mistakes,
mistakes, and it's the practice and the study of medicine. So that means we're always learning.
Definitely. I completely agree. And yes, I am the 2020 National Ambassador for the Children's Tumor Foundation. It's almost been a full year. It's pretty much been a full year. So November will be a full year. And it's been an interesting year. And this is also goes into what we were just talking about of the unexpected. So as I became the ambassador, was really excited. I thought I was going to be able to meet a lot of people with neurofibromatosis physically, do a lot of events where I can use public speaking and things like that. And I was so excited.
Plan on traveling to the West Coast.
Yes. And then of course, the pandemic happened. And at first, I was so upset. And I'll be honest, I was one of those people who's like, it can't be that bad because I like to look at like the bright side of things. So like, it can't be that bad. It's gonna be okay. I'm still gonna be able to do all these things. And of course, that is not the case at all. And again, at first, I was very, very upset because I thought I wasn't going to be a good ambassador because I wasn't able to physically talk to you guys. But the thing is, too, I've come to realize that doing stuff like this, Zoom, and other events, we've all been able to come together closer. And I think that's great because there was events where I wasn't able to go to because they were too far away. I had school, so I couldn't travel just for the day to go to an event, or I was in the hospital and my appointment would be at 3 and then the event would be at 5, so I wouldn't make it a time again due to distance. But because of Zoom, we're able to connect in a way that we haven't before. And I think that's great because it's just a larger community, and we talk about expanding outreach, and that's exactly what we're doing through Zoom and things like that. So I think that's so important, and I do wish that, of course, this pandemic would end. I wish I could go outside without being in fear, and I have 3 bottles of hand sanitizer in my purse because my skin is it gets very red because I'm using so much hand sanitizer. I was so scared. I washed my hands. I had a panic attack the first time I even went into my appointment because I started quarantining in March. It was like the day after my birthday because I remember we were celebrating my birthday, and then the next day they're like, there's a case, and I instantly had to just quarantine. And I remember being so afraid and thinking, should I stop the trial so I don't have to go to the hospital as much? And just seeing all of the arrows and things like that, it really stressed me out. But again, back to the virtual thing, I really think it's important that we continue to support each other and not judge people for wanting to do virtual methods, because we're all trying to end this thing. We're all trying to be happy and healthy. So let's just work together, push through, and raise awareness. That's how I see it. Just try to be positive a little bit.
You have questions?
Want to say any more questions? Let's see.
Because your dog is cute.
Oh, hi, Milo. This is Milo.
I'll give him to you for free.
Say hi. Ah. He's a little old guy. His name's Milo. He's a little troublemaker.
He is.
But yes, if you have any questions, I have some comments here. Oh, you graduated from Tri Valley too? Okay. It's Kristen. My eyes are like hard for me to read the screen. That's Kristen. And yes, please continue to look at the Tiltify link. And you can also, after I end this stream, I do want to stay on a little longer. I was planning on ending at 8, but because of the link issues, I don't mind staying a little later if you have questions. He looks like my dog, Max. That's cute. My dog is barking at the screen because of Milo. Aw. I have 2 more dogs. They're bigger dogs, and they will try to jump on my lap and attack the screen because they'll see me on the screen and they'll get very confused.
They'll just keep barking.
But yeah, so after this live stream, you can feel free to check out my other videos. I open up about my disorder as well, and I don't mind asking or answering any questions about my disorder. Oh, Milo, hold on, bud.
Should read that loud for everyone.
I know, I was trying to figure out if there was any above. Do you feel like there are any stereotypes that people assume about you when you, yes, I talk about NF. So I've been judged a lot because of my disorder. To certain people, I look too sick or I don't look sick enough. So I'm going to explain this. So I have a handicap sticker, for example, a thing that hangs on your mirror. And I use that. I actually got that when I first started chemo because the chemo does cause my joints to hurt at times, but that's just something I've dealt with, and I rather that than having my tumors grow. So I've parked there. I have people look at me, especially if I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. You can't see my tumors because mine are deep in my nervous system. So I've had people make rude comments. I even sometimes I don't do this, but sometimes I feel like I have to limp or something when I park there just because people will stare at me. I've had people look at my license plate number. I've had people approach me and say, "Why are you parking there?" I've had people spit near my car. So that in a sense I do get judged. Or I remember I'll relate this back to school, and it wasn't that my school didn't care about my disorder, it's just again that lack of people not understanding chronic illnesses, especially neurofibromatosis, because you can't see my tumors. So at first they thought I was just going to the nurse because I wanted to not be in school. I was in middle school, but I was feeling really, really sick. So things like that where people didn't believe me, they thought I was just wanting to leave school. But then once I was diagnosed the first few times with the neurosarcoma, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's a form of cancer that can develop, very rare, very, very rare. I just want to stress that. I don't want to stress anyone out. It's very rare with neurofibromatosis. And then people at my school, every time I looked a little pale, I would get sent to the nurse. Even though I was fine, I just looked a little pale that day. I would be told I needed to go home because I was a liability. So I went. It really just depends on the person. And then if they see my arms, some people get a little frightened. They think I have MRSA. I've had people yell that I've had MRSA just going into Walmart. This one time, I know my mom's thinking it right now. I was checking out at the cash register, and I was trying to give the cashier my debit card, and this man approached me, and his arm, like, I can't want to do it to this, because my mom was near me. No, he was trying to touch me, and his nose was like this close to my arm. And I remember the cashier had to ask the man to step away because I couldn't move to the left, because if I moved to
benefit of COVID.
if I had to move to the left, my arm would have hit him in the face. But I couldn't move to the right because I was like, the cashier's my card. Like, what do I do? So it's just situations like that. It's the stereotype of invisible disability. So if I wear a long sleeve shirt, I look normal. If I wear a short sleeve shirt, some people are a little frightened by my disorder. And you might hear my dogs barking because my boyfriend's actually going to be joining us, so he could talk about what it's been like dating someone. I don't know if anyone will know about that, with a chronic illness.
So going back to that stereotype thing, I kind of wanted to mention two things. So one, you either have people that over the top.
Sorry. He told me to do it for a second. Sorry, guys. My dogs are great guard dogs.
They're really good dogs. So over the top, kind of feel bad and almost put Brianna in a bubble because she was sick and wouldn't let her experience certain things throughout school because they were afraid she would get hurt. And then conversely, something that stands out in my mind is, again, when you were in middle school, so she had a spinal surgery. It was an 18-hour surgery. She had to learn to walk again. She was in a wheelchair for a good while. She had to have a one-on-one to help her just to get to the bathroom. And a lot of her schooling was at home. And Brianna just persevered through everything that she went through that year. So at the end of the year, they have this award ceremony, and Brianna got the Perseverance Award. Mm-hmm. And there was actually a parent behind me, didn't realize I was the mom, I guess, said, "Oh, they just gave her that award because they feel bad for her." So sometimes that goes along with being the sick person, is that people just assume, well, she's sick, so she's going to get away with everything. Come on in, Brand. We just talked about you. Brandon.
They know you're coming.
Why don't you stick the over there?
I didn't remember that, actually.
I didn't think I shared it with you because I didn't want your feelings to be hurt, but I think you got some more questions.
There it is. I don't see any. No.
Some stuff came out.
Just people saying hello.
Okay.
I'm glad to be doing this too. I'm so sorry that the other links didn't work. Yeah, you missed it. We had an issue. Links weren't working.
Oh, that's fun.
But yeah, so if you have any more questions for Brandon over here, I know he just walked in, but
and again, don't forget to donate to
yes,
Tiltify.
please donate.
Please look at that link. We haven't gotten any new ones, but yeah.
But feel free to share the link, ask other people to come join in. I'd really appreciate it. My whole family's here.
And Jace has a particular fondness for Brandon, so it's like a celebrity.
Brandon boyfriend.
Oh, he got a haircut.
It's nice, right?
It's like Whopper.
Oh, Jace, do you want to say something?
Jace got a haircut today, and he looks like his big brother.
Jace, I say he's my little healer. He loves my arm. He wants to kiss it. He wants to make it better. Jace, you want to
You want to
talk?
talk about Nanny's Boo Boos?
And I love
easy,
Milo.
We know you love Milo.
You want to talk about Bree's
Do
Boo
you want to
Boos?
talk about how do we say neurofibromatosis? Can you say it?
Neurofibromatosis.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Good job.
I've
And
heard-
mommy, I got bullied and it hurt.
No. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I
to
just had
see the
surgery
training.
recently,
Thank
so.
you.
I need
No,
Good to
so
see you.
Jace, Connie said great job.
Connie said, great
Can
job.
you
Say
say
hi,
let's
Connie.
end in F?
And it.
NF. So
I got Sonic costume movie.
Yeah,
Oh.
and that's for
It's
Halloween, so
in
we
it
can
down here.
have a Halloween party for another NF fundraiser, right?
And I love Milo.
Mhm.
He's my
It would
friend.
affect
Yes,
you
he is.
differently.
So
Okay, there's
COVID
questions.
has affected me with NF in that I had more anxiety about getting sick just because I have a weak immune system being on the MEK inhibitor.
After this
And
one,
my
after
doctors
this.
just really stressed the need for me not going out as much and staying home, and I really abide by that. I don't go out. But it's also made me realize that using social media is so important in that we can stay connected. Like I mentioned before, I really think that we're able to have more people involved than we were before. And while I do wish that the galas and the symposiums and things like that were able to be in person, I am still thankful that we are able to do it via Zoom and that more people can join than they did before because of distance and things like that. And hello to the new individuals that joined in. Thank you. I'm staying strong. School's going great. Oh, hi. It's really cool seeing people from Instagram joining in. Do you want to say anything?
Cool.
No, I don't want to be.
So,
About what?
my mom, we could talk about the play we wrote a little bit.
Yeah, we can. So, Brianna and I wrote a play
Yeah.
that was live via Zoom and for NF Awareness Month in May. Yeah, can you grab the door?
Jace, close the door, please.
And
Please.
it was really about
It's the dogs are
our
so
life
loud.
and our journey with neurofibromatosis. And you know, I think the link is still available. We can maybe post that under in your comments at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the link is still up if you want to watch it. And we're hoping to do it live, maybe for our next May, and put it on its feet. Because it was a little difficult to do.
See, probably not this May, but May.
After school. Brianna's
Yeah.
focused on school, which is great.
Oh, no, because COVID school, it's just a lot all at once.
And Brandon was our musician and
DC.
they created all the music for the play, so we're super thankful to have Brandon with us. We have a
Yeah.
question coming. Oh, thanks for joining. It says Brandon for you.
No,
Oh,
And
notice.
I think it's really what's really cool too about Brandon is so he can I tell him what you do? I just
So, sir.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you know what to. He's a music teacher, and for those of you who know me, I love music. I love theater. I love singing. Is what I've always said is the only normalcy in my life, so to speak, besides public speaking and things like that and advocacy. But with singing, I was able to separate from being the sick girl, if that makes sense, because I was always known as that in high school and even in the community college near me. I was the girl who did the fundraisers and because she was sick. So it's just being on stage it's been great, and I'm able to sing with Brandon. So for fun, we sing. We talk about wanting to record songs together.
They're that nauseatingly cute people that sings, and yeah, they're sweet.
Yeah, I know Brandon's thinking
Yeah.
because I say that I want to record songs with him, and we have it recorded.
So I see Aiden posted the link to the play. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Aiden, for being so amazing.
Yes.
Cool.
That
So
was awesome.
Why are you breathing heavy?
So I have questions. Let's see if I
You
should
running?
think of some questions to ask. Okay, I got one for my stepfather over there. What has been the hardest thing about coming into a relationship with my mom, knowing that she had a child with a chronic illness and then another son who was going to have a hip replacement
And heart surgery.
and heart surgery?
what was it like coming in?
You want
Yeah. How did that like
What was the
impact you as a
challenge? How to
person?
impact?
Yeah.
Good boy.
Well, knowing how sick you were, and Brandon and Robert,
Think you want to get that?
I kind of adapted
Don't hurt him.
to your struggles and your needs, your mom's needs, everyone, no matter what it was for.
Once in a half.
What?
It was a little challenging though in the beginning, but as time went on, I learned what needed to happen.
Dan's the man.
Bye. I got present for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez,
know.
just for everybody.
How many times have I cried in front of you?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Bye.
No, I have to
That
say,
face.
so I have a cramp. I'm sorry. So when I believe I already had cancer when you first started dating Mom.
So you
Where I just
it
had
was
it
your
removed?
second time he was with us when you got your diagnosis.
I remember that I was
Diagnosis,
gonna
I
talk
was
about
there,
that, but I
wasn't I?
didn't
Yeah.
remember for the second time you were there when I was diagnosed.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I didn't remember if he came in during the end of the.
You were recovering.
Everything was kind of a
You
blur,
had
and
had
a lot
surgery,
of
had it removed,
medicines.
and we were waiting for your.
That was a very tough time for me, just because I was on so many different medicines. I'll talk about this too, and I see I have a question. Let me finish the story first, because I'll forget. But so I was diagnosed the first time with a neurosarcoma when I was a freshman in high school. I actually found out the day of my homecoming dance. So that was interesting. I didn't tell anybody. No one knew. I didn't tell my school till I think like 2 days or the day after. I thought, I feel so bad. I thought that my guidance counselor knew because she was calling me down to talk about my secondary extracurricular activities that I want to do and post-secondary like things I want to do after school. And I said, "Oh, so my mom told you I have cancer?"
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she cried because she was a family friend. I felt bad. It's a very
That's
awkward
nice.
time. So at that time, I just really I don't want to say I blocked things out, but it was just a very hard time because being a freshman, I'm supposed to really experience high school and make new friends and things like that. And instead, I was at home. I wasn't able to attend school, and I was on a lot of medicines. I was in a lot of pain. I had tubes coming out of my chest. So I watched a lot of Cupcake Wars. And then I remember Dan coming into my life at some point during that area. I remember my mom and Dan FaceTiming. That's really what I remember. And it was very cold outside. Then he was there for the second time I was diagnosed. So the second time I was diagnosed, the cancer grew back in 2 different spots. So not the same spot it was in, it's just my tumors changed. And so I remember when the doctors told me, they just kind of looked at me and I was like, I have cancer, don't I? And that goes to show you know your body, so you really have to advocate for yourself, because at first they thought that I was just growing and that my tumors was just usual tumor growth. And I remember my mom really advocated for me. She's always been that backbone that really, really helped me get that PET scan that I needed. And that's how we were able to find out that I had cancer. I say the second and third time just because, again, it was in 2 different spots. And that's how my doctors have always said that, tumor A, tumor B. So Dan came in and I looked at him and he just cried. I remember so when Dan says that he might look like this tough guy, but he's a little emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little.
No, great. I have a very,
crier.
very great support system that I'm very thankful for, because everyone asks me, how do you stay so positive? And I always say I just do, because I have a great family, and I'm a firm believer that if I'm constantly negative about my disorder, negative things are going to come back. So yes, I'm not always this positive. I have my days where I'm in a lot of pain or I'm more grumpy and I don't want to deal with things. But if I'm constantly like that and I constantly have that attitude, nothing is going to change. So I have to be positive, and that's why I want to advocate for other people. So if I help inspire others, it's going to hopefully inflict positivity on them, and then them wanting to be positive for other people and for themselves, of course. So just overall to keep spreading that positive awareness. And there's a question for you, Mom.
So the question is, what inspired your mother to write a play rather than, say, a poem or prose? I'm fascinated by that. So before I was a nurse, I had a little dabbling of being a preschool teacher for special needs, but my whole life I've been an actress. So I've been involved in theater from a very young age on. Was trying to get into film and did a few little indie things here and there. So I always had a love for acting, and like a painter who paints doesn't need to be famous to be an artist. My art is really theater and acting. So I'd often thought about writing a book, but
we've talked about that.
Because Brianna, she has this incredible voice, and don't let her fool you, she's an incredible actress as well.
She has an incredible voice. And she's good at it.
We kind of thought, hey, you know what? It might be a really great venue to do it in play format, opposed to, say, a book, because I thought maybe we could reach more people. And I think too, the raw emotion that happens during our play, you can't. When you're reading a book, you can kind of create your own journey as to what's happening and how those emotions are played out. But to see the raw emotion of all the experiences that we had, I think is much more impactful than, say, writing it just in a poem. And not to say just, because poems are wonderful too.
Definitely, I agree. And we've always talked about writing a book or something. Everyone's always said that. Every surgery I've had, they're like, it's a new chapter in your book, because when you go and look at my medical records,
she shouldn't be here.
It's huge. It's huge. And even when I spoke at the FDA and I said I had what I've dealt with, I don't want to scare people, because again, mine is a very rare case. And just because I've had these issues doesn't mean that you will. So I don't want you to be scared. Please just know that a lot of people are shocked that I am still alive. So I think also, like my mom was saying, when you see something on stage, I feel like it's more I don't want to say relatable, but it's cool because you're physically seeing it and it's a true story. Nothing was like over exaggerated. Everything in that the story we taught, or the play rather, that we wrote about actually has happened to us. We actually had to how do I say this? Not hide things, but like make it not as sad.
Not as sad, and not because it was getting very dark. Yeah.
And that's not, again, I talked about positivity before. That's not the type of people that we are. We like to talk about the good things, because yes, NF has created a lot of issues and blockades for me. It's also allowed me to do great things, like being able to talk to all of you about my disorder and things like that.
He really wants to share his training.
Can I show them? Oh, he wants to show his Sonic shoes.
Super speed.
Super speed.
Dad, I put in my shoes. It is turn speed.
Okay.
And my train. His name is Polar Express.
No.
Polar Express does not pull.
Oh yeah. So
It's a white elf.
oh yeah. Can I talk about
There's a Santa.
I want to talk
And
about
a Santa, and we, and a North Pole, and I go, that boy, it go half, and at the end.
The
That's
end.
right.
You told the whole story.
We
end.
learned about.
Why
we learned
so
about
what?
the setting and the parts of the
Be
story.
quiet.
today.
Quiet.
Excuse me.
What?
That's not nice.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and play
You
your
see,
game
excuse
so
me,
that then we can
Mom.
get stuff done.
Excuse me, mommy.
Okay. Can you go ahead
So
and
with
play?
Jace,
He's not mom. He's mommy.
okay.
Oh, here.
Okay. So Jace hasn't been able to see a lot of his friends because he does the home instruction with all of us. So on days that my parents work.
Excuse me.
Better.
I love.
Go ahead, go play.
So the days that my parents work, I help Jace with his homeschooling, and then of course they do it. So while that's been great because he's not being exposed to anything, I don't want to say negative, because I like in-person learning so much more, but I understand that we're doing this for a reason, for all of our safety. I just feel bad that he can't see his friends, so that's why he wants to talk to all of you, because it's what he does at school with his friends.
Yeah.
Nice dab, Chase. He's so funny. So yeah, if you have any questions for Brandon, I know he's kind of like hiding back there. But okay. Do you have a question you want to ask him, or?
Oh, sure.
Well, all
Now
of
put
you.
him on the spot now. So one of the things that Brianna used to say all the time is that she's never going to be in a relationship because NF makes her not lovable. And I think that a lot of patients out there with NF, it's actually.
Can I say though, it wasn't because I was afraid of what I looked like. It was because I'm afraid that my disorder puts too much stress
burden
on
and stress.
individuals.
I was going to say that.
As-
So one of the first people, and I make it emotional and try really hard not to. So one of the first people that I ever met that had neurofibromatosis, it was actually through MySpace, was a man named Jerry, Jerry Willem. And who the MySpace group was actually like a date kind of a thing. They were trying to find relationships, and I didn't know that, but I reached out as a mom, and Bree was only, I don't know, maybe 18 or 20 months at the time. Love Jerry. Yeah, he's my heart. So I realized early on that people that suffer from neurofibromatosis often have difficulties with relationships. And I think that it's not just about the physical, it's really about worrying about that thing that Brianna says, I don't ever want to be a burden to someone else. Or she would say, if someone falls in love with me and then I die, then I don't want to hurt someone. So I'm asking you, Brandon, what is it like to be in a relationship with someone
Connie.
with neurofibromatosis?
It's funny. I mean, not situation, but this question's interesting to me because she's asked me this before. And the thing is, and I've said this, is I don't really notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's the physical aspect, obviously there's, things can hurt sometimes, and I understand that. But it's never really been a thing where I'm like, oh, today this is what I'm with, It's not a thing I really notice. Not in the sense that I ignore it and I want to help, but just not in the sense, in the sense that I never feel, like you say, burdened by it. I never feel like our relationship's held back by it. I forget about it sometimes. I can probably hurt you in some way because I forget about it. I'll push you or something.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't push me.
Okay.
He doesn't push me.
Jokingly, you're fine. I'm
No, he means when he comes home from work, if I'm visiting, he comes and runs and hugs me, and he'll forgive me. I squeezed you too hard.
It's stuff like that. Yeah, no. Man, I'm a teacher, and I just said I go push people. No. It's just not a thing I really think about. It's not something that's on my mind really that much, and it's easy for me to just kind of forget about it and almost be reminded of it.
Okay.
So.
I think that's why I like Brandon so much.
Is that I like Brandon so much?
Oh yeah, totally. No, it's because he doesn't see my disorder. He sees me for me, and that's what I've always wanted people to see me for. Is that yes, I have neurofibromatosis, but it doesn't define me. I'm my own person. But I do love to advocate for neurofibromatosis, and I know that my time as the ambassador is coming to an end, and I'm very excited for the new ambassador. She's gonna do so good, but I still want to continue my outreach. That's not good. It's not going to stop. I'm always going to advocate, and not even just for neurofibromatosis, for all people with chronic illnesses who struggle. Which is why I'm glad I found my little niche in school counseling, because I had it set that I was going to work in a hospital, and it's always what I wanted to do since I was 8 years old. Then I realized volunteering in a hospital, I was like, man, I feel like all I'm doing in a hospital is I'm just always in a hospital, and I had my days off. I was going to the hospital for my own appointments. And then when it was time for me to go to work, I was going into a hospital to work with children. And while I love working with children and I really want to help children with chronic needs, as I've said, I just didn't think it was good for my mental health. And then I realized too, there's certain rooms where there's very, very contagious individuals that I would still have to go into, and I'm on chemotherapy. I wasn't able to go into those rooms. So I felt like that I wasn't doing, I don't want to say good enough, but I just couldn't do what I was fully capable of because I couldn't go into these rooms. And when you do stuff like child life, I mean, I might be wrong, but you can't really do virtual child life work, because when you go as a child life specialist, you're working in a hospital setting or at home with an individual and helping them cope with their chronic needs and their families. So even if that means if a child's getting blood work done, you look through like a picture book with them and you help keep their mind off of their medical needs so that it doesn't impact them and doesn't hurt them. You help them conquer their fears. So doing that over Zoom, I feel like would be so hard. I don't know if they're doing that. I commend them if they are. That's great. But whereas school counseling, I'm still able to do work virtually and work with children. And I just really needed to stop and think about my medical needs as well. Oh, thank you. Do you want to read that for me, because it's kind of hard for me to see.
Sure. It says, Brianna, you were and are an amazing ambassador.
Oh,
You have
thank
been
you.
able to reach so many more people because of COVID. Being virtual allows us the opportunity to reach
Mhm.
so many more people. Thank you.
Hi, Tony. That's Addison's friend. I asked him to join. But thank you so much. And that means a lot to me because I mentioned before, I really didn't feel like I was doing, I don't want to say it was that I was doing great as the ambassador, but
Doing enough.
yeah, exactly. I didn't feel like I was doing enough. I really, really wanted to push through. But yes, I'm glad that we're all able to connect. You want to say anything?
I'm good. I'm enjoying back here.
Any more questions out there?
Yes. Any questions? I would love to answer questions. Milo wants
I
you.
feel like we should talk a little bit more about bullying. And,
Yeah. So, with bullying, that was, so it started, the first ever time I remember being bullied is really, I'm sure it's the same thing you're thinking of as the sandbox. And I wasn't necessarily bullied a lot by students or by children my age. It was adults. I mean, I understand in a way because not a lot of people know about neurofibromatosis, but when this parent saw my arm, she took the child that I was playing with. We were playing in a sandbox. She took her child away and said I couldn't be near her because,
and
again,
shamed me for having my contagious daughter playing out in the sandbox.
So I remember my mom says I was very sassy. I was like, it's not contagious, it's a tumor. But it's just that, like, we can't look at people and judge them right away. We don't know their story, we don't know what they've been through. And that also goes to say is even if an individual doesn't have a chronic illness, if they've just come from a place or they used to be a part of a toxic environment, that doesn't define them. They themselves, if they're trying to make that effort to change and be a better person, then we should be lifting them up and help them become that better person and really cheer them on. Because if we're constantly shaming them, they're not going to want to change. They're going to really think that they aren't capable of doing great things. So even with the coronavirus, I know there's clashes, there's different sides and different beliefs. Stop fighting. Just come together. Really, just be nice to each other. That's all I think, and that goes to bullying with everybody, is that we're so into, I mean, this involves social media. I love social media. I love that we can stay connected, but social media has also really increased bullying, and we need to stop comparing each other and, again, just really lifting each other up, because we all want to be happy. We all want to strive to reach our goals. It's just so important that we come together. Yes, exactly. Because I remember, even with my learning disabilities, and I feel bad saying this because Brandon's a teacher. I don't want to upset people either, but they didn't understand my needs that I needed. And again, it's just because the lack of resources, which is so important that we need more resources. But they would make me feel that I wasn't good enough at times. And that is a form of bullying. Hearing things like, oh, you won't get into a 4-year school. That's like those little remarks.
Sitting for an IEP, that's the Individualized Education Plan meeting for Brianna, and being told, don't worry about her academics. Let's just hope that she has a happy middle school and high school career, and that she survives. And I think that's sort of the driving force for Brianna and I is, we all know that having 3 neurosarcomas, the fact that she's here is
pretty remarkable thing. But I think the thing that kept us both going was never quitting
Yeah.
and always looking to, to reach goals. And once when you set a goal and you reach it, set another one so that you can just keep growing and you can just keep striving. And that's kind of like been our mantra, is always keep moving forward, keep plowing forward.
And that's why I really, my mom knows that this is one of my biggest goals. I would love to be on a TED Talk, and not even to talk necessarily about my disorder, but to talk about the overall, again, like coming together, being positive no matter what you have gone through, whether it's a chronic illness or a life-changing events. I want to be a motivational speaker. It's very hard to do that, but it's something I always want to do. It's just, I remember it was last year around the time I was having the issues with my arm, and I was just really like down in the dumps. I didn't want to go out. I was doing YouTube, and everyone thought I was so happy, but as soon as I recorded the video, take off my makeup, I was back to just like being so sad. I just don't like people knowing that I do get sad, even though it's human. But we went to this my school, actually, where I graduated from, and we spoke to a vet who. Hold on, Jay. So I'll tell a story first. He was on one of his cars, and it was that right, Mom?
I'm sorry.
He was on one of like the trucks, and it exploded.
It exploded. They hit a bomb a mine, and it exploded the vehicle, and it caught fire.
And he just showed such resilience, and he obviously did not look like what he did before, but it was just seeing that he kept pushing, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm really sad that my tumors are growing, but I have the option to be a part of a clinical study. And that's actually what made me say yes to the clinical study, was seeing this man, and that he never gave up, and that his family still loved him, and this other man really wanted to work with him so they can work together and stop bullying. That's what their goal was, to stop bullying, because he was completely unrecognizable, and
His face
people,
was burned, his hands, he had
everything.
no fingers.
And he would get judged, and people thought he was contagious, and we really connected in that. And so that is what really inspired me to want to continue my outreach. And if one day I can become a motivational speaker, then I'm going to be the happiest person in the world. I do it now. I do a lot of public speaking, but I mean, as a career, if I'm ever able to do that, I would love that.
More questions?
Alrighty, thank you. Any more questions? I don't want to.
Questions for Brandon?
I want people to ask Brandon questions. Brandon and I actually we did record a video. I had to edit it, but we did record one. Thank you. Yes, we have to. Sorry, we kept talking about we didn't check Tiltify, but please donate to the Tiltify link and support and neurofibromatosis. And again, we really want to keep advocating and stop bullying in general. It's so important that we do this, because no child should ever feel, or no individual should ever feel like they're not good enough.
The last I saw is still at $150. So please,
we're still at $150,
even if it's $1.
Yes.
Help out CTF, please.
I should make Brandon do a live video one day. It's hard though, because copyright issues, so you gotta write your own songs. Just play. Brandon can play any and like every instrument. He says he comes up with these instruments, like, what is that? Thank you. So what do you guys think? One day should I have Brandon just serenade everybody?
I have yet to hear him sing. Yeah.
Brandon sings very well.
Because we're supposed to do that duet for me that you didn't do because Brian was sick and couldn't go see you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Valentine's Day event. Trying to think if there's anything else I could talk about. Am I missing anything? I talked about my life and how it's been impacted by the coronavirus. Talk about what's new with school. Oh, I know we can talk about. Oh, I don't know if you don't say. Fun fact: if those of you, if you know what school I recently graduated from, Brandon now goes there online. So that's cool. It's another thing we have in common. Now we're rival schools. I'm kidding. We're not rival schools at all. Oh, it's kind of silly, but Mom, Brandon's a Yankee fan.
What?
I'm a Red Sox fan, so.
Yeah.
What? I liked you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I like the Yankees. That's
Oh,
me.
sad.
So I can talk about some fun thing. How's grad school with remote learning? So grad school with remote learning, I really like what I'm doing. I want to talk about all my classes. I could talk about this all day. Every time my class ends, I run and tell my mom, like, this is what happens today. So my one class I'm in is called Foundations of Counseling, and it's really an intro class. And I'm go Yankees apparently. No kidding. But it's an intro class to counseling. We talk a lot about IEPs, 504 plans. We're talking right now about, they're calling them Children of Excellence, and it's children with disabilities, and that's where I was able to write that advocacy letter. And I was so shocked that my professor said that no one's ever wrote an advocacy letter about advocating for children with chronic needs and the lack of resources that schools have for them. I was a little set back by that. I was like, oh wow, I guess this really is needed and more people do need to talk about it. So I'm really glad that I get to do that. He wanted me to talk to my whole class about it, so I was a little nervous, but everyone really, really liked it.
I said, what?
Yeah, I was so shocked. He was like, you should send this letter to your legislator because the whole assignment was a mock letter. You don't really have to send it unless you want to. So he was stating that I should do that. But I don't want to say I was offended, but I was like, man, I know that other things are important. One is not more important than the other. We all want to advocate for something, but he's been teaching at NYU for 4 years, and he's been a counselor for 10 years. He's never heard of anyone doing that. So I was a little shocked. Then I'm in a theories class, and everyone was like, oh gosh, theories, it's a lot because it's theories. I love my theories class. I am learning about different techniques I can use, and I even see it like helping me with public speaking. I feel like I'm speaking a lot better, and I'm able to communicate with people better. So I'm really, really enjoying theories. Experience my family, so I like listening and learning. Well, I'm really glad you like listening and learning. And Tony, I really hope everything is going well. I know. So then the third class taking is a lab class, and I was most nervous about this class because this is where you partner up with someone. You have to open up to that person. They have to act as your counselor, and they're a student as well, and then they have to do the same. So they have to open up to you, and you have to act as their counselor, and you get recorded, and then the whole class watches your video. And I get a little nervous. I even vented to him. My professor said sometimes I feel like I'm a little too happy-go-lucky, and I don't know what to do. And it's just because when I'm nervous, I start to talk on tangents. So it's something that I know I need to work on. But she told me that what I want to do, because I talked about how I still want to incorporate art in school counseling and music and things like that, that's perfect for elementary and middle school. So hopefully, although I won't say that I won't do high school, but I feel like I'm more into working with children and talking about their needs rather than just talk about colleges and things like that. But overall, since my college is strictly, well, not my college, because just the section that I'm in is, I knew going in that it was going to be online. I'm glad. But other individuals that I know are able to dorm, but they're online. I don't know. There is one class where I have to go physically to New York City at NYU for 3 days. I think that's going to be virtual. And I remember our professor recently, she was venting to us because this is where you actually get to meet your professor face to face and take different learning techniques and learn new trainings as well. And they can't do that, so there's not really a connection. So I hope I get to do that, but it's not looking like I'll be able to because that's going to be in June, I believe.
Hopefully, we'll see.
If you want some cool, yeah. This is my mom's shirt, but yeah, I have the.
She is. She said she needed a different one because she's always wearing the same shirt.
I actually have to get a newborn fighter shirt because it's kind of like ripping. Letters are ripping. I wear it all the time. actually, and what's really cool, I want to talk about an experience I had before
We could have just interject that. Don't forget, Christmas is coming. Do your Christmas shopping.
It's
So,
about
yeah,
the apparel too.
go
It's about
ahead,
an experience
yeah.
we went through.
Go ahead.
It was the shirts help others know that they're not alone. Here's why I say this. So my mom and I were walking out of an appointment, and it was the one where we found out I might lose my arm. So we were a little not happy. And I was walking and I heard someone going, hey you. And I'm like, who's shouting at me? Who knows me at this hospital
And
besides?
she called you by name.
Yeah, she said,
She knew
Brianna.
that.
I was like, who is this? And I turn, and it's this little girl, and she's like waving. And this mom, she's like, we have NF too. And I'm like, how do they know I have NF? I'm like, what is going on? I'm wearing my Born Fighter shirt. Jace is wearing his I Know a Fighter shirt, and so is my mom. And they saw me because this was even before I was the ambassador. Like I said, I used to do YouTube a lot more, and I would do live Facebook videos, things like that. So they have seen my post, and then just seeing my shirt, that helped them. And
so the little girl was so sweet. She like
she was
wanted
so
Bruce's
cute.
autograph, and she was like,
She
completely
did.
enamored. It was very sweet.
And it just made me feel so good. So it could help somebody. I mean, the funds do go to CTF, yes, but I mean,
But it
like,
also helps us raise awareness. People always ask me all the
exactly.
time, I know a fighter, like, do you
When
know
we
a
went to
boxer?
Florida.
And I'm like, no, it's neurofibromatosis.
when we went to Florida.
Yeah, it's a good teaching tool. Oh, I was going to say something before. About Brianna.
New
and the-
donation.
yes, donations. I gotta
think it was at
refresh.
200.
I think it's
I
talking.
think it was at 200, but yeah, so you cut me off there. Yep, it's at
Sorry.
200. So thank you for whoever just made a donation, and thank Connie
Brandon.
Lana too. Thank you. So Bree being home for her studies also helps our entire family because, as I said earlier, Dan and I are both essential workers. We have been working since day one of COVID. And with Jace being home taught online, it can be challenging. So Dan usually does 2 16-hour shifts in a row, and then he can be off and he works with Jace to do his schoolwork. But when we're both at work, we don't want Jace to miss out, especially on that live classroom. So Bree's really been handling a lot of his schooling, and we're so grateful for her field of study because she is an amazing teacher, and Jace really responds. I think he goofs off a little bit more with Dan and I than he does with Brianna.
Well, I think
He
it's
doesn't
I
goof
think
off
he
with
doesn't
me.
mess with because he doesn't like to let me down. Because I
Yeah.
remember one time Milo can be he's an old Yorkie, and he went to like take Jace's food. I was like, Milo, no. And Jace thought I was saying no to him, and he looked at me and the lip and the quiver, and he just started crying. He's like, I don't want to make you mad. So I think Jace just doesn't want to make me mad.
I
But
just want to disappoint you.
But in all, I know, I just want to keep saying this. I know that the coronavirus has been tough on everybody, but we're all here. We're all dealing with this together. I know that we're all in the unknown, and that's exactly what it's always been like for myself and my family with neurofibromatosis, and basically everybody. You never know what's going to happen in your life, and that's why I think that we need to just take a second to breathe, just respect each other. This is not fun for anybody. Trust me, it's really not fun for me. I would love to be able to just go outside and not be scared. And even my brother, who's 5, he will not go outside. Like, we'll go for a drive, and he brings his mask, even though we're not going to leave the car. He will have panic attacks. If it's just seeing my grandma through a window, he needed his mask. He would not leave the house. So, again, it's just really important to respect everybody, be positive, and just don't judge each other. This, I guess, it's so hard for everybody. So thank you all so much. And before I leave, I just wanted to know if any of you had any more questions. I'm so sorry the links didn't work. I'm glad it ended up working. But yes, are there any other questions? Exactly. Flexibility and forgiveness.
Awesome.
Thank you. I miss you. I miss all my CTF friends.
I know. I just wish we could like have a big virtual hug of all of our CTF family. We miss everybody. We miss seeing your faces and air high fives to everyone.
Woo! We raised $1,000 between thank you, I'm sorry, and this one. And I'm going to keep this Tiltify link up. I'm going to try to do more videos Especially I like these live videos. I know I saw like 15, 16, and that's actually a lot for my YouTube channel. I feel like this is more interactive even than when we did Thank You, I'm Sorry. You know,
Yeah.
way more people are responding, and I think that's great. So I'm gonna keep this Tiltify link up. Now that I know how to fix the problem that we have, we won't have it next time. So if I do a live video, I'll have the Tiltify link in the description box. I'll edit videos. Like I said, Brandon and I have a video that we have to edit. I kind of want to record my stepdad and just put it in like a little. You'll see, because I'm gonna edit this video. I don't want to give it away, but it's very funny. It's not related to NF at all. I do want to say, but it's very funny.
Before we go, you have to share the fish story, the fishing pole, little worms on the hook fishing pole story.
That's so odd.
It's so funny though. It just shows
All
how
right.
much he's supporting.
All right, and then I'll let them go. So
So.
when I had my spinal fusions, because I've had a whole slew of surgeries, and again, there's other videos I can look at, and I'm going to edit the description in those videos and add the Tiltify link as well. So I had a spinal fusion, and when I woke up from surgery, I don't remember doing this, but I wanted gummy worms.
You were really cranky at first.
Yes, I'm very
I get
cranky.
Yeah.
There's a
Now I
video
remember.
of me
You're so high.
who's I've
so out of
only been fishing one time with my family, and I decided I wanted to go fishing while I was in the hospital. I needed gummy worms.
She was on pain meds.
Yep.
So I got gummy worms, and Dan was my fish, and I was fishing.
Reeling
There's a
in.
video of
And
me
he
in the
was actually
hospital.
being the fish. And it was
So if you want to,
hysterically
there
funny.
are some funny
Yes.
stories I do have about neurofibromatosis, because I don't want it to just define and be negative, because yes, it's painful. Yes, I've gone through horrific surgeries, but
It sucks, but you make the most of it.
exactly. So you have to be positive.
And my point for bringing it up was that, that was a really horrible, hard time. She was so sick after the anesthesia was bothering her. She
I had to
was
have
in a ton
another
of pain,
surgery after that because the metal
and-
popped off.
And we just tried to make light of everything
Yeah.
that we could. We'd make jokes, and he would be a silly goof for all of us to make us laugh.
Even my
Um,
brothers, who they can't be here today because they live on Long Island now.
We
But
get to see them tomorrow. Yay.
I know I haven't seen. I know I'm a little nervous, but yeah.
We should
So-
shout out that it's
oh,
the
yes.
26th
It is their birthday on October 18th. So
Sunday.
yes. Look for an Instagram post I'm going to be posting, and like the Instagram post for them, because I feel bad sometimes because I don't want to say I get a lot of attention because of my disorder, but my brothers have also been such a huge impact, and they're my little big brothers. Everyone thinks that they're older than me. They're not. I'm older than them, but they just act like big brothers, and they deserve all the love and support. Robert's going to school to be a physical therapist, so he's getting his doctor's degree. He's in med school. Brandon's doing great with film. He got his bachelor's in film production, and I'm so proud of him too. So they deserve all the love and support. Yes, Brandon does. Yeah, he made documentaries for chronic illness. He's doing great, and I really, again, they deserve all of the love. I'm so proud of all my family, and I really appreciate all you guys. I know this sounds so silly because all the YouTubers are like, you're my family, but I really have known a lot of you since I was 8. You followed my story, so I appreciate you all. My family, of course, I love you all. So thank you so much. I'm really glad you guys got to watch, and I'm gonna record soon, so I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Wait.
Oh,
Okay.
Wait, come say goodbye, quick. Come
Come
say
on.
goodbye.
We didn't say
Sorry,
bye
wait.
yet. Come
Come
on.
on, quick, come say goodbye.
Oh, I know what he wants to say. Jeez, you can say it. Come
Say
on.
it quick.
Come on.
Say it.
Oh. He wants. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Jace has this thing he wants to say.
Come on, you gotta tell him. He couldn't wait.
He's been talking about it all day. That's what I did when my sister was going through chemo. We made light of it. I'm really glad, Tony. Jace,
Wait,
come on.
He's waiting to see you, so come on, tell him. What do you want to say? Go ahead, come on, go up and then
You
say
can say it.
Go ahead.
Subscribe my channel and goodbye.
What do you say?
He said subscribe to my channel and goodbye. But no, Jace has always wanted to say subscribe to my channel, click that bell. I don't know.
And click that bell and subscribe my channel and click that bell Sonic.
He said, subscribe to my channel and click that bell, Sonic. So thank you all for watching.
Guys, watch.
Go ahead.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Cole.